Yeah, so I think we covered everything. But as I say, while this Neptune Super Conjunction continues, and it will basically be in effect for another week or more, because Venus is moving quite slowly, is be cautious, question everything, don't believe your own eyes. Double check, and not only just do your own research, but maintain an open mind, and also. Many events, there are so many misinformation YouTubers. Some of them are well-meaning and some of them perhaps subversive, but it really has the well has been muddied. The way they've dealt with the whole conspiracy theory genre is to flood it with more conspiracy theorists. So instead of having some good quality conspiracy theorists who you can rely on generally giving you the message, we've now got thousands of newbies cropping up everywhere, and all of them are saying some kind of good things, but within it all is subversion. And it's always good to look at people's sponsors, where they get their money, the kind of things they've tweeted in the past, and look at their track record. What were they saying during COVID? Have they just blown up? Are they all over mainstream media? Are they on the traditional channels? Because if they're ticking all those boxes, then there's reason to be suspicious. And of course, talking about Neptune, subversion, misinformation, misdirection, what's going on with Musk? Everyone who came into the administration of Trump is now being ushered out. All the people that some people bought into, Musk with Doge and inefficiency savings. A lot of people were liking what Musk had done in Twitter, being moved aside. Kash Patel now being moved aside. Then we've got weirdos like this Paula White, the White House, is she the Bible coordinator, the White House Bible spokesperson who speaks in tongues? Highly suspicious. It's an obvious grift. I mean, there she was literally, suggesting that people donate £3,000 for blessings or dollars. What is this sort of person doing in the White House? It's obviously theatre. Everything in politics we're seeing now is theatre. I've got a good analogy for you. Imagine you've got a couple. They have 3 children, quite smallish children. And the couple want to have a serious discussion. So they take the kids, put them in the lounge, put on a scary movie, close the door, and the kids are watching a scary movie and they're really gripped, and the parents in the kitchen having a serious financial discussion, and Johnny's going to have to go to boarding school, and Mary can't go to tennis lessons anymore because there's no money, and the youngest child, well, he's just going to have to go to a cheaper school because we just can't afford to drive that distance to his school anymore, and we're going to have to cut back, and maybe we'll have to give up the holiday this year. So the kids are in the lounge watching the scary movie, and they find it a scary movie. They think that's all that's going on in life, the scary movie, and they really gripped with the characters, and they're involved in the plot, and they hiding under the sofa or whatever. But the real scary stuff is what their parents are discussing in the kitchen, and they've got no idea because they're watching the movie. And I think that's our politicians. The politics is a show. It's the scary movie that they put on for everyone to watch and get distracted by, and for all the red herrings for people to be scared about, like Russia or Iran or whatever terrorism, get scared about that. Meanwhile, the government, rather the controllers, people who control government, are the parents in the kitchen discussing your future, making decisions that will affect your future. And they're in control. They're just distracting you. They're in the lounge. So just wanted to use that analogy. So I think at the moment, politics has become pure theatre. Nothing that's going on in that arena with Trump or anyone else is any longer relevant. And you can see, because it's a chaotic mess. Like I mentioned with Trump, bringing manufacturing back is not the win people think it is, because those people still have to maintain profits. The kind of whole system of chasing that bottom line, of increasing efficiency, of always creating more profit because of the stock market. Because for your share price to keep increasing, dividends must increase, because that's the share price is discounted dividends from the future. For dividends to increase, you have to increase the bottom line. You have to increase savings. You increase savings by sending production overseas and moving it to cheaper and cheaper and cheaper countries, or using cheaper and cheaper ingredients. But you run out of options, right? Now, the tariffs and moving manufacturing back, that's going to push costs up, dividends down, stock market value down. So they have to still find a way of importing cheap labor or something. I mean, even Trump now said, oh, well, you're illegal. It's okay if you work in farming or a hotel, you see. Because the reality is, if you do follow through the policies of deportations or getting rid of illegals or reducing illegals, all these things, it actually is going to, bottom line, it's going to crash the stock market. A lot of people aren't going to be very happy, not going to look good for Trump. Therefore, a lot of the things that people hope will happen won't actually happen. So people are under the impression that a lot of good stuff is happening. But if you scratch the surface, it isn't really. Plus the fact that Kristi Noem, another illusion. Remember, she was elevated because in, I think she's South Dakota, they had no COVID rules kind of thing. And everyone said, oh, she was so good with COVID. There was no lockdown. She was really cool over COVID. It was one of the better states, right? So they elevated her, made people like her. People on the right, particularly, thought she's great, right? And then what's she pushing now? Digital ID. She's now enemy number one, really. She's pushing one of the big things that people on the right, or freedom, conspiracy-minded people, also includes people to the left, because, you know, the Bernie Sanders kind of left people have something in common with the Trump people because they're pushing back against the neoliberal system. But she's big on digital ID. So is obviously Tony Blair pushing it like mad here. And Trump's pushing it too, you know, and under the guise of, you'll be safer. Well, the people who got on the planes in 9/11, under the official version, did have passports. And they were legitimate passports. So presumably they would have had legitimate IDs. So just because you can identify yourself doesn't mean you're not going to do something bad or, you know, in any scenario. It just means that some details on the digital match some details on a database. It does nothing to combat crime, criminality, or anything of that nature. And this whole digital ID thing, it also reinforces the fact that it's the little people who are doing the bad things. But really, who are the biggest criminals in history? It's people in government. It's them killing the most people through wars or through allowing homeless people to die, crashing economies, mismanagement of the NHS, other public health measures, which we know all about. It's the governments and who are doing the most terrorism really on the people, or damage to the climate as well. Through, think war's good for the climate? Yeah. And all the other things they're doing in the name of climate change, which are purely anti-nature and satanic. It's the people at the top who are doing the most damage. But digital ID to control illegal immigration, well, who's endorsing, allowing, facilitating legal immigration? It's governments. And it's governments that are going to control the digital ID. So do you think the governments who want all this mass immigration, legal, illegal, it just doesn't matter. It's good for the economy. So governments want it because it looks good for them. And they won't have a collapsed economy and stock market on their watch. So do you really think digital ID introduced by government is to combat any kind of immigration fraud? No. It's to tax you, because at the end of the day, they want more money. The only reason they're going to have digital ID is so they can monitor and tax law-abiding middle-class people more. And the whole system is designed to destroy the middle class, because it's only from the middle class that resistance can come. The lower classes, the working classes, the unemployed are too worried about money and basic survival to worry about politics. People in the middle class have time perhaps to get more informed, have more resources, and maybe resistance can come. It's the middle class that's there for the chopping block, as it was in the Bolshevik Revolution and other times in history. So digital ID, who's going to sign up for it? Middle class normies or Karens, Karen type people. No insult to Karens. Sometimes Karens are quite okay, but you know the meme of a Karen. They're all going to think digital ID is great, and they're all going to sign up, and then they're going to get taxed more, and then all the people who kind of don't get it or can be exempt for some reason are going to be the problem. And those are probably going to be people, you know, government. Do you think, like, you know, Bill Gates and Larry Fink and Elon Musk are going to have a digital ID? No. You know, just like diplomatic immunity, you know, the rules sort of just don't apply at the top. They just go away magically, you know, because there's also two-tier justice in terms of people who are, you know, middle class versus people who are in certain positions of power. So there's also a two-tier there that's less talked about. Enjoy your Easter, guys.